President Recep Tayyip Erdogan ordered Turkey's first domestically built aircraft carrier, the Anadolu, into the Bosporus just a month before the upcoming Turkish general election. Erdogan hoped to fire up patriotic voters and secure a victory with his grand gestures and giveaways. However, the opposition party has been gaining momentum, promising to restore democracy and stability in the country, while criticizing Erdogan's increasingly autocratic style. The election, which is set to take place on May 14th, is shaping up to be the most important one anywhere in the world this year. In today's video, we are going to talk about current dynamics and contenders in the Turkish elections. We'll talk about the voters' concerns and current polls, and we'll expound on the importance of election results on global democracy. Stick to the end to know what would it mean for Poland, Sweden, and India if Erdogan gets defeated after 20 years. But first, stay up to date on the latest economic insights and analysis by subscribing to our channel. Turkey's upcoming election on May 14th has the world's attention. But how do these elections work? Here's the jackpot. Presidential candidates can be nominated by parties that have passed the 5% voter threshold in the last parliamentary election, or by those who have gathered at least 100,000 signatures supporting their nomination. If one candidate receives over 50% of votes in the first round, they are elected president. But if no candidate gets a majority, the two candidates with the highest votes face off in a second round. And that's not all. The parliamentary elections also take place on the same day. Turkey uses a proportional representation system, which means that the number of seats a party gets in the 600-seat legislature is directly proportional to the votes it wins. Parties must obtain at least 7% of votes to enter parliament. It's going to be a big day for Turkish voters. They'll cast their ballots for both presidential and parliamentary elections at the same time. And if there's a second presidential ballot, it'll take place on May 28th. As far as the candidates are concerned, there are 4 contenders in Turkey's upcoming presidential election, each with a unique style and political ideology. The current president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is seeking re-election for a third term and has been actively campaigning across the country. His main challenger is Kilicdaroglu, the leader of the main opposition party, who has been critical of Erdogan's policies and his increasing authoritarianism. Ince, the centrist Homeland Party leader, is also running for president for the second time after losing to Erdogan in 2018. Ince, who recently broke away from his former party, has gained enough signatures to join the presidential race despite his party's objection. Though unlikely to win, he could tip the balance enough to lead the elections to a second ballot. Lastly, right-wing Ancestral Alliance candidate Ince and Ogan is also running for president. Now that we know who the contenders are in the upcoming Turkish elections, it's important to understand what issues are at the forefront of voters' minds and what are the current polls saying. With a struggling economy, a devastating earthquake that hit in February, and concerns over the government's commitment to democracy, it's a lot to consider. The economy has been a major issue for a while now, with rising prices and inflation hitting an eye-watering 85% last year. That's a lot of dough, and it's hitting voters where it hurts, their wallets. And with Erdogan's popularity taking a hit, it's looking like he's going to have to do some fancy footwork to win over voters. But it's not just about the economy. The earthquake that hit in February has also shaken up the political landscape, with voters looking to see who's better equipped to handle the fallout and prevent future disasters. While some believe that Erdogan and his People's Alliance are the best bet, others are looking to Kilicdaroglu and his Nation Alliance for solutions. And let's not forget about democracy. With Erdogan's government being accused of turning away from democratic values, the opposition has made it clear that they want to reverse this trend. It's an important issue for voters who value freedom of speech and expression, and they'll be looking for a candidate who can uphold these values. And well, let's dive into what the polls are saying about the upcoming elections. With a record number of voters expected to show up at the polls, the Metropole survey predicts that nearly 5 million first-time voters will participate this year. So, who's leading the race? Well, according to the same survey, Kilicdaroglu is currently ahead in the first round of elections, with Erdogan coming in second, followed by Ince and Ogan. But if Ince withdraws from the race, more voters are likely to switch to Kilicdaroglu than to Erdogan. However, in parliamentary elections, Erdogan's AK party takes the lead in the polls with a plurality of votes. Meanwhile, the pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party, HDP, has endorsed Kilicdaroglu, and their voter base is expected to play a decisive role in the elections, possibly tipping the balance in favor of Erdogan's main rival. It's all up in the air, but one thing's for sure, this election is going to be a nail-biter. But what impact these elections would have on the world? Let's see. The importance of election results on global democracy cannot be overstated, and we can see how this plays out in Sweden, India, Poland, and other countries. As we report, the election is on a knife edge. If Erdogan falls, it could be a game changer for Sweden's NATO membership that he has been blocking for ages. Plus, it could give us hope that we can kick authoritarianism to the curb with more democracy. And let's not forget about Modi in India, who's also got a bit of an authoritarian streak. An Erdogan loss would give more democratic supporters the hope to remove authoritarians like Modi from power. Moreover, if he loses, it could mean better EU-Turkey relations and restoring democratic institutions that Erdogan has tainted. But if Erdogan wins, it would be bad news for democracy. Elections results have major implications for global democracy, as we're seeing in Sweden, India, Poland, and other countries. Most polls show Erdogan trailing, and if he loses, it would be a huge political shift with worldwide consequences. The opposition nation alliance has a solid chance of winning with Kilicdaroglu at the helm. He may not be the flashiest, but he's a consensus builder and a humble dude, unlike his adversary. If he pulls it off, it would be a massive moment for Turkey, Europe, and the global struggle for real democracy. Erdogan started out okay, but too much power messed with his head like it does. If he gets booted out peacefully, it would show everyone that strongmen can be beaten, and that's what we need for global democracy. The Turkish presidential elections on May 14th are set to be a battle of epic proportions. With 4 candidates in the running, the competition is fierce, but the spotlight is on Erdogan and Kilicdaroglu as they go head-to-head in a showdown between democracy and authoritarianism. This is no ordinary election. It is the most important one of the year for the entire globe. The outcome will shape the future of Turkey and have a ripple effect across the world. If Erdogan falls, democracy will triumph, and a new era of hope will dawn upon us. But if he manages to bypass the system like he did last time, we'll be in for another wave of populism and authoritarianism that will sweep across the globe. If you like our content, do subscribe to the channel for more updates, and do let me know your thoughts on this.